Cheating wife cries as husband destroys her affair partner. Cheating wife story. When Ethan walked into his home that evening, the air was still, too still. The kind of silence that screams louder than any words. He had just returned from a week-long business trip, exhausted but excited to surprise his wife, Claire. Their anniversary was just a few days away, and he'd planned something special. But what he was about to discover that night would shatter his soul, and awaken a side of him he never knew existed. For years, Ethan had trusted Claire blindly. They'd been together since college, high school sweethearts who built a life from scratch. She was the love of his life, his confidant, and the one person he believed would never betray him. But lately, she had grown distant, late nights, unexplained messages, and cold kisses. Ethan had sensed something, a whisper of betrayal, but his heart refused to believe it. Until that night. As he entered the house, a strange sound floated down from upstairs, a faint laugh, a man's voice, followed by Claire's soft giggle. His body froze. His heart pounded like thunder in his chest. Slowly, he climbed the stairs, his hands trembling, each step heavier than the last. When he reached their bedroom door, it was slightly ajar. Through the crack, he saw them, Claire and another man, entwined in the bed he had bought for their first home. The sight ripped through him like a knife. Every memory, every sacrifice, every dream they'd shared flashed before his eyes and turned to ash. He didn't shout, didn't rage. He simply stepped back, numb, and walked out of the house without a word. For days, Ethan disappeared. No calls. No texts. Claire panicked. She tried to call him repeatedly, but his phone was off. She feared the worst, until he finally returned, calm and cold. She tried to explain, tears streaming down her face, but he just looked at her, expressionless. "You destroyed me," he said quietly. "Now watch what happens next." Ethan was not a man who acted impulsively. He was deliberate, methodical, a strategist by profession and by nature. The man Claire had cheated with was her coworker, Derek, a smug, arrogant executive who thought he could get away with anything. Ethan dug deep, learning everything about him. His career, his shady business dealings, and his hidden secrets. Derek wasn't just a homewrecker, he was corrupt. And Ethan was about to expose him to the world. Weeks passed as Ethan gathered evidence, emails, bank statements, and witness testimonies. He built an airtight case that linked Derek to embezzlement and insider trading. When he was ready, he handed the file to Derek's company board anonymously. Within days, Derek's world collapsed. He was suspended, then fired, and eventually arrested. Claire found out when she saw Derek's mugshot on the news. Her heart sank. She rushed to find Ethan, sobbing uncontrollably. "Why did you do this?" she screamed. Ethan turned to her, his voice steady but sharp. "He took something from me that can never be returned. I took something from him that he'll never recover." Claire broke down completely. She begged for forgiveness, saying she made a terrible mistake, that it was a moment of weakness, that she still loved him. Ethan listened in silence. For the first time, she saw the pain in his eyes, deep, raw, and unhealed. "Love," he finally said. "You destroyed love the moment you let another man touch what was sacred between us." He didn't yell. He didn't insult her. He simply walked away. That calmness cut her deeper than any insult could. Claire was left sobbing, realizing the full weight of her betrayal. Months went by. Ethan filed for divorce quietly, refusing to humiliate her publicly. But the pain didn't fade easily. He poured himself into his work, his fitness, and eventually, into rediscovering himself. Slowly, he began to heal. Claire, however, fell into a downward spiral. She lost her job after Derek's scandal tainted her reputation. Friends distanced themselves. The house that once echoed with laughter became silent. She tried to reach out to Ethan again, sending letters filled with apologies and regrets, but he never replied. One day, she saw him at a park, walking with another woman, smiling. The sight broke her heart completely. She realized too late what she had lost, a man who had loved her more than she deserved. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered to herself, "I destroyed everything." Ethan noticed her from a distance but didn't approach. He felt no hatred, only pity. Time had taught him that revenge, no matter how justified, never truly heals the wounds, it only closes the chapter. He had moved on, not because he forgot, but because he finally valued himself enough to let go. Moral of the story. Betrayal doesn't just break hearts, it reveals character. Ethan's story is a painful reminder that trust, once shattered, is nearly impossible to rebuild. True strength lies not in destroying others, but in rebuilding yourself after being broken. Claire's tears were too late, for once love is gone, it never returns the same way. Ending message. Never take loyalty for granted. A faithful heart is a rare gift. Cherish it, or you may live the rest of your life regretting the moment you didn't.